culture and has to involve employees, which we have in the side here of our result. Okay. So, therefore, we can say that our total quality management approach needs to be part of the overall strategy of the organization. Okay, overall strategy of the organization. It has to be part of the mission and the vision and so on and so forth. Now, the other thing is that TQM doesn't only involve processes, but it's a process itself. Okay. That's number 6. TQM does not only improve the quality of processes, but is a continuously improving process itself. So what we mean here, if you look at number 6, is a major thrust of TQM is continual process improvement. Continuous improvement drives an organization to be more analytical, creative, and finding ways to become more competitive and more effective at meeting stakeholder expectations. So if you're carrying out a particular, say, TQM process, and you're looking at your processes, and you're applying that methodology, then you don't keep on just applying that TQM methodology to this process and ensuring, oh, fine, it meets my criteria of my quality control, and I don't need to change my method.
Could it be like some Kaizen thing in
Yes,
the company where,
it comes, if we look at the history, it developed from Japan, from the Kaizen methodology, and just in time, right, and so on, right? So, the TQM process itself needs to evolve. You know? 7, fact-based decision making. In order to know how well an organization is performing, data and performance measurements are necessary. TQM requires that an organization continuously collects and analyzes data in order to improve decision making. So, TQM depends on data. Okay, at different levels. Such as 1. Production data. Output, quantity, material, feedback from consumers, right? Production data is therefore quantitative. Quantitative data, which means you can carry out statistical process control on it. We can perform statistical control calculations on this data and use this for decision making. this for decision making. This is why what you will see in the Deming cycle, and particularly the second one here. What is statistical process control? You will see that this is data driven. This one is a cycle which works on point 6, continuously improving. It's circular when you look at the diagram. Okay? And Six Sigma is both of them together. So that's number 7. Number 8, of course, is pointless looking at your processes, trying to collect data, doing work on them, improving the processes if you do not communicate. Yeah? So the last part, number 8, the principle, is if you look at it on the page, communication. During times of organizational change, as well as part of day-to-day operations, effective communication plays a large part in maintaining morale and motivating employers at all levels. Right? Communication. Of results, goals, aims, and future action. It needs to be clearly used for motivation. For motivation purposes. Remember, we are not in the fear culture. Now we're in the motivation culture. Remember, one of the other points was you are empowering people with the process. Okay, so that takes us to point 8, and just underneath point 8, it says these elements are considered so essential to TQM that many organizations define them in some format as a set of core values or principles on which an organization is to operate. The importance of quality, now let's just give some historical aspect to quality management. The integration. So I finished 8 system, right? So now we can go to number 4. Section 4. This is not part of this. Was this 3 we were looking at?
Yeah.
Yes. So now we can go to 1. So this historic history. The integration of TQM into processes started in Japan. We must give the Japanese the honor of this, and I think it's part of the culture. When Japan started manufacturing and started to become the leader in manufacturing technologies around the world, okay, as a leading exporter of a lot of automotive components and cars and so on, they started to look at their processes and they started to see how can we become more efficient. Okay? Because I think it arises from the culture, like you mentioned, pricing. Yeah? Become more efficient, become more effective, reducing waste, increasing the quality of the goods provided with the least effort. Right? This is the whole culture of that part of the world. So therefore, it's not surprising that they started to integrate their character and their culture into what they were doing. You know? So this started down the end, and from there they introduced what was called JIT, just in time. To improve process control. Right, so this was kind of the first thing that started. So if you look at just at the bottom of page 2, just above the title, The Rise of Quality Management Systems, it says the importance of quality only grew after the war, The Japanese enjoyed a quality revolution, improving their reputation by shoddy exports, by fully embracing the input of American thinkers like Joseph Juran and Edward Deming in this very cycle. It's surprising that the Japanese used theoretical frameworks developed in the US and employed them in their processes to improve their total quality management, whereas the Americans did that after looking at what the Japanese were doing. It's application of knowledge. So, and shifting focus from inspection to improving all organization processes through the people who use them. By the 1970s, the US industrial sectors such as electronics and automobiles had been broadsided by Japan's high quality competition. So by 1970s, Japan has become the leader. It pushed away US technological superiority. Ecological process control, quality management, implementation. Okay. Therefore, arose many different systems of TQM arose, such as one of them was Six Sigma. The second one I mentioned up here, just in time. JIT. Process innovation. So this is at the bottom of page 2. The American response to the quality revolution in Japan gave birth to the concept of total quality management, a method of quality management that emphasized not only statistics but approaches that embrace the entire organization. In the late 20th century, independent organizations began producing standards to assist in the creation and implementation of quality management systems. It is around the same time that the phrase TQM began to fall out of favor because of the multitude of unique systems that can be applied to the term quality management system. Right? So TQM started to become QMS, quality management systems. Right? So the US adopted these. Okay, the US adopted these innovations and called them this. You know, the US are very good at taking other things and putting their own name on the top of it, putting branded and you sell it, okay? It's when you look deeper, it's the same thing as the Japanese, but it's US. Okay, so this takes us then to page 3. So quality management systems, they created quality standards. Of quality. Right? And one of the very famous quality standards, and is still used a lot, is the ISO 9001 from 2015. you can go onto their website and it tells you what this quality management system is about. It tells you what should be the quality of your control systems. What should be the aim for your quality of your control system? International Standards Organization, ISO. And you will see that explained on page 3 there. And there are other standards as well. ISO 9004. There's a whole family of ISO 9000 standards. This is just 9001, which is a famous one. Right? So there's a whole family of ISO 9000 standards. Okay. So what are these standards about? These standards guide the main QMS, quality management systems, and how they should be implemented. Right? So they actually guide the systems, which are the systems that are supposed to be checking the processes. So now you have total quality management of the system that is supposed to be the system to check your processes. Yeah. This classic American philosophy. Yeah, it's a great standard. Anyway, the bottom of page 3 is elements and requirements of a quality management system. So please read that. If you want to know more about this, you can go on the ISO 9000 website. There's a whole website. And then on page 4 is establishing and implementing a QMS. So now we are not calling it PQM, we will call it QMS, right? After this 70s, 2000 80s approach. So there are many things to consider when establishing a QMS for your organization. Of great importance is ensuring it has a strategic choice, influenced by the various objectives, needs, and products and services. So, this part involves this. Okay? So we are now getting into the core part of your assignment. Okay? So, when establishing and implementing a QMS, the Deming cycle is used as a guide. Right? Now the Deming cycle itself is basically this one: plan, do, check, act. And it goes back. It's a cycle. P, D, C, A. Yeah? And that's where allows for continuous improvement to both the product and the QMS. Right? So this allows continuous improvement to the process itself and the QMS.
mind moving the board to the center of the class?
Sure. Rebecca?
I think for everybody it's better.
Good. Maybe I'll move it back. Is that better? So this allows continuous improvement to the processes and the quality management system itself. Yeah. So this is where I'm going to stop because this is your homework kicking in now. Remember, we have a lesson next week. Next week I shall start the Deming cycle. But then you hopefully would have done a little bit of work already. You would have done a little bit of work already on this stuff and this question. Because next Tuesday, if you start it next Tuesday, you won't really have much time to do the 3 questions. So I'm presuming that by next Tuesday, you would have looked at this and at least answered the first one. So next Tuesday when I'm talking about the Deming cycle, you can come and take the lesson and I will sit in.
Okay.
Agreed? Good. That's it.